everybody, it's Teresa with ReeseDixon.com, and I'm here today with a recipe for my very famous salsa. I just brought this down with me when I met all the other maker moms, or at least a bunch of the other maker moms, in person when we were filming our promo shoot, and I got to look like the most thoughtful person ever when really it is so not hard. So I'm giving away all my secrets today, but you will look like the best person if you're giving out fresh homemade salsa. And the big secret is that you do it all in the food processor. There's not even any chopping involved. So this will be a blended salsa. As a Californian, I don't count salsa as the chunky bits. That is pico de gallo, and that's a different thing. This is blended, so it's very much like a sauce, which is why there's no chopping. It's all food processor and then blender. You don't have to worry about any of this. So what you'll need is a bunch of tomatoes, enough to make about 3 cups of blended tomatoes. I've got a couple of jalapenos that are de-seeded and deveined. I think about 2 will do, but this is where you can really vary based on how hot you like it. Making it a little bit spicy today because that's how my husband likes it, and I made a ton that's my style. I've got some red onion that I'm super sensitive to, so I have it covered with a plate so that I don't start crying on camera. But that's a red onion. It's just like quartered so that it'll fit into the food processor, and we'll chop it down later. So I've got about 1 onion here, but you really just need 1 cup. So like half an onion will probably be enough, unless you go big like I usually do. I've got some cilantro here, a bunch of garlic, and I'll show you a neat trick in just 1 second. You'll need salt, some red pepper flakes, vinegar, either red wine or apple cider vinegar, and then some dried peppers. And the dried peppers you can get in any grocery store, especially in the Hispanic foods aisle. You can sometimes buy them in bulk. And so what I've done here, I'm using 3 for this recipe. I've got my blender ready because I figured why dirty another dish, right? So I put hot water in my blender and toss the dried chilies, and then I just got this little empty jar because the chilies will float up, so that kind of squishes it down. And then once this is soaked for about 15 minutes in the hot water, pour off half of the water and then just whir it up in the blender. So you'll have like basically like a chili paste that you're making. And then toss that in a pot, and then we'll get all the rest of our stuff ready. So the cilantro, the jalapenos, the onions, I'm just going to toss in the food processor and then into the big pot. The tomatoes, you have to core first. So I'm just going to take my little, and this is just a steak knife because at the moment I can't find my paring knife. That's what happens when you leave husbands to do the dishes. So I'm just using a steak knife, and I'm hacking into this because since it's going to be blended, doesn't matter what it looks like. And just take that core out and then chop it in 4 quarters so that it's big enough to fit in the food processor. I guess small enough to fit in the food processor. So now here's the garlic trick. Okay, so you'll need, I like mine really garlicky, so I'm going to do a whole bunch of garlic right now. But I think you'll need, what, 2 cloves? What'd I write down? 4 cloves of garlic. See, I really do like it garlicky. And that you can alter too based on your preference. That's the great thing about salsa. You really don't need a full-on recipe. It's about proportions and how spicy, how oniony, how garlicky, how cilantro-y you like it. If you're one of those poor people who was just born not being able to appreciate cilantro, my sympathies are with you, and you can just leave it out of the recipe altogether. Okay, so I have a couple of metal bowls here, and I have some cloves of garlic with the paper still on it. All I did was kind of bust apart the big bulb to get to these individual cloves that are all covered in the paper. So I got one metal bowl and the other metal bowl. I'm going to put one on top of the other to make a little dome, and then it gets loud. Whew, give that a good shake. And look, out pops a perfectly peeled garlic. So you need 4 of those, and then you just let your food processor go crazy. So I'll see you over there. I'll see you over there at that step. All right, a few pulses will work really well to get this all ground up. If you just let it blend, sometimes it can just become like total mush, which, you know, since we're blending it anyway, will be fine. But you'll get great results. You just push that pulse button a few times. So I've got everything all ground up now. So it's time to throw everything together in a pot. So the full recipe for this will be on my blog, and I'll make sure to put a link down in the description below. But you will need 3 cups of tomatoes. And let me pull my big pot over here. I'm not making much today, but typically when I make salsa, I need my big boy. So, you hear Eddie screaming? Oh, brother. So 3 cups of tomatoes. I've already got my chili paste in here that I made in the blender. I'm going to add my garlic and jalapenos, which I've run through the food processor. I'll need 1 cup of onions, which I've also run through the food processor. And then you can kind of do the cilantro to taste, but probably about ½ a cup or so. Maybe just a little bit more if you really love the stuff like I do. And then about a teaspoon of salt. And red peppers, again to taste, you know, depending on how spicy, but I'm just going to do about quarter of a teaspoon, maybe ½ a teaspoon. And then I've also already poured my vinegar in here that I had measured out, which was, I think it was like ¼ of a cup of vinegar, but like I said, the instructions for this will be on the blog, and you know, it's all to taste. It doesn't matter if it's exactly a quarter or a half of the vinegar. The point is ratios, remember? Okay, so that's it. I've got all my ingredients in my pot, so now all I have to do is put this on the heat and let it cook until all those great flavors meld together. So keep your heat low so it doesn't burn. It doesn't have to be, you know, boiling. You just want a nice medium heat. Let it go for 20 minutes, ½ an hour. And then, once you get to that point, scoop some off and put it in your blender. I've got some already going. So you have to be a little bit careful so you don't get tomatoes everywhere. So start slow. And then that's it, you've got salsa. Now, at the next video I do, I'll show you how to can this up so that you can put it on the shelf and keep it for years and give it away to very, very lucky and deserving friends and neighbors, and you will be the most popular person on your block. I hope you love it. Please leave me a comment if you've tried it and tell me what you think, and subscribe to the channel for more great stuff and so that I can show you how to can this all up when you're done with it. Bye!